It is the two-man game, a new addition here to the PHNX Suns family. I'm Espo. He's Flex. There's two of us. That's the two-man game here. And today we're going to talk about the newest member of the Phoenix Suns, Thaddeus Young. Flex, first off, how you doing, my man?
I'm good, my man. How you? We coming back from Cabo after the
Yes,
All-Star game?
I spent a whole weekend in Cabo with Book and Luca and everybody else that was out there. Jason Kidd and I had a great talk.
Okay.
It was good times.
I know. I heard you got back on the PG, you landed, and came straight here.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. I said, I got to be here for Flex. My man's waiting.
Yeah.
No more having fun on my All-Star break.
That's why we love you, man.
A man who had fun in a different way was Thad Young. He officially signed with the Suns as of Tuesday, and this has been a long time coming. We've seen the flirtation. We know they've had eyes for Thad Young for a long time now. Yeah,
I mean, I feel a little vindicated after about 3 years because I've been hearing about the Suns' interest in Thad for quite some time, and from afar, I've always admired his game. I love what he brings to the table, so I'm glad they could finally get it together, get him in the Valley. He looks very happy. He looks happy to be here, Espo, and I think it's going to be good for the Suns basketball team.
Oh yeah, he shouted something about being a Valley boy, and look, it reminds me. I took 11 years for me to wind up dating my wife. It kind of reminds me of that courtship. It took a little time, but now hopefully it'll be something beautiful. Let's just talk about the offensive fit to start. I know Thad isn't the guy he used to be, but still pretty effective, right? Yeah,
you see, the thing I love about Thad's game is that it's very cerebral. This guy works extremely hard. And I've done a lot of homework on Thad. I've reached out to people around those camps. Thad, he's just a smart, cerebral basketball player, Espo. And so offensively, he's one of those guys that's not going to jump off the box score, but he's going to always make the right play. He's not he's 35 now. He's not as young and athletic as he used to be.
Younger than us.
Younger than us. Shout out to Thad. He's definitely younger than us. But his ability to create or to operate in that little short roll, in that little short pocket, his ability to apply pressure on the rim. He's got a nice little baby hook that he can operate with. But the thing I think people are going to be really surprised about, Espo, is his passing ability. His ability to see the floor, diagnose the defense, see where the help is coming from, and make you pay for it. And so you're going to see a lot of that in that short pocket, attracting defense, backdoor cuts, kick out to the corner three, stuff like that. He's just a really, really cerebral basketball player and a continuity glue guy on offense. He'll be one of those guys that helps mesh everything together.
You were telling me about his passing, and I had seen it from afar, but I kind of looked at some of the stats, and his passer rating is 8.3 in limited minutes this year, which is the number of points his passes lead to for his team.
Okay.
So he's been really good there this year. He's also shooting 51.7% of all his field goals within 3 feet, and in that area he's shooting 65%.
Oh,
so he's highly efficient. Like you're saying, he's averaging right around 5 points a game. Had one of his better games at the end of January, scoring 16 points. I know they're not going to rely on him offensively, but it feels like he could be a guy off that bench, which we know has been anemic at times, to add a little help there.
Yeah, I think he's going to – I think initially, obviously, he's going to come off the bench. He's going to help be the glue and the connector with that unit. But I tell you what, Espo, the more I look at this, the more I have conversations behind the scenes, the more I am super enamored with the potential of what they can do with a small ball lineup with KD at the 5, Royce O'Neal, Thad Young, Book, and Beal.
Which is crazy because 2/5 of that lineup was not here a week and a half ago. And now they got an option where that's a switchable lineup.
Yeah.
That's a lineup where every guy is a threat to pass. You've got some presence that can score behind the arc or near the hoop. I like that could be a lineup that Vogel, granted he's only got 27 games to experiment with it, but could be a lineup that he could turn to at times in the playoffs where, say, you're playing a more athletic center.
Yes.
And Nurk doesn't necessarily make sense and that doesn't fit, and maybe Eubanks just isn't getting it done. You could turn to that lineup for stretches and really have your own lineup of death version right there. So I like that. But defensively, I think, is where
baby.
Thad shines a little bit more, right?
Oh, baby. Yes, he does. And I love this, Espo, because, this is organic. And you just come with the numbers, man. You got everything lined up here.
Well,
Listen.
according to the chat, I don't know hoops. So, we got to flex the muscles a little bit when it's just the two of us.
We got to flex a little bit. The two-man game. Me and Espo running a two-man game, and that's what he's going to run. I mean, he's going to be running that offense, but you want to talk about defense.
Yeah.
And, sometimes the lingo, when we talk basketball, it changes from time to time. There's a part of Thad Young on the ball. Mm-hmm. On the ball, he's 35. He's not the Thad Young of before who can hang laterally on an island, right? But here's what he did, Espo. This is why I love Thaddeus Young. He transformed his game. He said, when I'm going to lose in lateral speed and athleticism, I'm going to make up with basketball IQ and knowledge. And so there's a part of basketball when you're isolated in the pick and roll. Mm-hmm. And the guy's setting the screen, and you may go under or over. But in this case, let's say he goes over. There's what I call, when I was being coached up and when I coached, there's a neutral zone. That neutral zone is the gap between the ball handler and the back end. Yeah. Okay? And you see a lot of people put in that neutral zone. And it's really one step in one direction that changes the whole play. Thad has mastered that. He's mastered the ability to go above the screen, stay close enough to the ball handler to make him think in that neutral zone, hey, do I really got this or do I don't? Because his hands are everywhere. Yeah. Espo, his hands are everywhere. He gets deflections. He's all over the place. He plays the neutral zone, and he makes you hesitate for that half a second that allows everything on the back end to kind of settle down and get back into place. And so these are the things that you're not going to see in a box score, but he is going to bring that in spades, and he's a leader. He's a talker. He's another Royce O'Neal, just a different version of him. And to have that in the end of playoff games when you need a stop, example, Golden State the other night with 2.8 seconds. Yeah, I want Royce O'Neal and Thaddeus Young on the court because they can make things happen and communicate.
Yeah, I think heady vet is kind of the term when you think about him on defense.
Yeah,
he's fourth among active players in steals, 37th all time in steals, and he's averaging 1.4 steals for his career, about 0.8 this year, but that, again, is in limited minutes.
Correct.
So if he sees a little bit more, I'd imagine he gets closer to that 1.1,
yes,
closer to what his career average is. So I love that we got a member of the Sticky Fingers Club here in Phoenix now, a guy that can really help defensively, like you're saying, down the stretch, maybe be a smart defender where you could put a clamp down lineup, right?
Yes.
Josh Okogie, Royce O'Neal, Thaddeus Young in there, and really, if you build a lead, could go into more of that prevent where you're shutting guys down. I like that. That's a wrinkle that I don't think they had early in the year, obviously, with Thad and Royce being new, but that gives Frank Vogel, a guy who's known for his defense, some options, which I feel like that was a lot of what the trade deadline and the buyout market has been about, is how do we give Frank a few more options in terms of beefing up that defense? Let's talk about his playoff experience, though. That's another thing he brings in here to this roster, where he's played quality playoff minutes.
Yeah, I mean, Espo, this is a guy that's played, I want to say, close to 1,600 playoff minutes. Like, that's a guy that's been there. He knows how to do it. He's been in the trenches. He's been in crunch time. Those are the things that you value at the deadline. You want to bring guys in at the deadline or the buyout market that can give you what you're saying, another wrinkle. And I'm telling you right now, remember, on this show, the two-man game, our first episode, by the way, replay this come playoff time, because I'm telling you right now, I believe Thaddeus Young and Royce O'Neal, and I know this is about Thad, but I want to bring Royce in it because he cut from the same cloth. I believe Thaddeus Young is going to be part of closing out game lineups with this basketball team, especially like you said, if you're in the fourth quarter of a playoff game and maybe you're up 8 or 10 and you throw that lineup we're talking about. Now, another thing I want to point out, man, Thad is not shooting threes anymore because he's changed his game. He's adapted to what he's doing and what fits the team. But this is a guy that shot 40% from three at one point in his career, okay?
He's more of a small ball five now, right?
Yes.
In this game?
Yes, he's a small ball five who is not being encouraged to take threes because of the system and way he's playing. But don't get it messed up. This dude will let him go. And so when you throw that lineup out there and you got a lead, you're potentially, because of the defense, the best part of this offense is when they get stops. When they get stops, they can play fast, they can run. And so if you throw that lineup out there with a guy like Thaddeus Young who can close out possessions and really get things going with his passing ability, you might be able to take that lead from 10 to 15, and that's how you win playoff games.
He is flex. He's setting the screens, rolling to the hoop on Espo, and that point guard alley-ooping it to him. This was the two-man game. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace out.